Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second week of new work talk, GERMANTECH. Maria and myself, Anna, here. I'm really happy that you guys have tuned in. We're going to give it 2 more minutes until the rest of the attendees join us. We actually had one thing to let you guys know. There's a chat box at the bottom, and in the chat box, if you want everyone else to be able to see your comments or your remarks, make sure you allow that chat to go to all the panelists and attendees. You have to actually click down and make sure it goes to all panelists and attendees, and that way you guys can also make sure your message is being seen by everyone else. And we've actually heard this a few times. How can people joining a webinar maybe network with each other and gain some value through that? So if anyone feels like telling us who you are, where you're from, what do you do, maybe what's your interest, maybe there might be some other attendees or participants that want to direct chat with you as well. Because the great thing with Zoom, and not to advertise, but you can directly chat with the participants.
We are all big fans of Zoom now. Yeah. So Zoom and Dr. Drosten are definitely the winners of this whole thing. For those who don't know it, Dr. Drosten is the German top virologist. And he's doing a podcast that I highly recommend to all of you. Where he really, from a scientific perspective, explains the knowledge that they gain each day about the virus. Everybody loves him. He's like a new superstar in Germany at the moment.
What I didn't realize is they actually show the podcast on television in the mornings.
Oh, really?
At like 10, yeah. So they do a whole, so you don't see anything on the news, like you don't see anything on the screen, but they actually screen the podcast while he's talking, because he does it every morning, I think. So I thought that was really interesting. Okay.
All right. Should we start?
We should start.
Martin. I see some familiar names. Martin Thalmeier. Hi, Martin. Great to see you. Hi, Benny. Hi, everybody else, of course.
Okay. So how about you go ahead and start, Maria, and tell us a little bit about, GERMANTECH and what you do. And then we'll move into the rest.
Yeah, my name is Maria. I'm the managing director, one of the managing directors of GERMANTECH. We are building digital ecosystems for a sustainable future. That means that we are working with corporates, with startups, and with academia around the topics of innovation, digitalization, and the whole digital transformation. And we are doing this talk weekly now with you to tell you a little bit about what we've learned, to share our knowledge, because what we see is that the learning curve is still very steep, at least ours. So we want to share and also see what are the topics that are moving the community out there. Where can we find solutions? Where can we make more valuable connections? That's what we're here for today. How about you, Anna?
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna, and I'm the event and program manager. And when this all went down, first thing everyone said is, oh my goodness, no events, and you probably are going to be out of work, and you must be really hard hit. And actually, I have been hard hit, but in a different way. We've digitalized everything, which is great, where I actually feel like I have more to do, because I just feel like there's more people that I can get on board and have even more people be able to participate. So it's the microphone to communicate and do the events, I feel like has been broadened. And so for me, so it's been really interesting, and I'm very fortunate though that we've been able to digitalize all our formats, and it's worked out quite well. So that's what I'm doing, and we will go ahead and share with you guys, how was your week, the last week? This is our second week basically in 100% home office, and having to see less and less people as the days have gone on. So Maria, how was your week?
Actually, it was super busy. I'm wondering what these people, I mean, there are so many people posting about that they are having so much time now. I don't know what they are doing because I don't feel like I have much time. I actually feel like I have less time because I get up in the morning. Since yesterday, I start doing yoga classes online now. So at least I have 1 hour of yoga in the morning. But then basically, I'm in my living room, which is my office now, and it's my yoga studio, and it's my diner room, it's my bar, it's my club. My living room basically is everything now. And as I do not go out, I feel like I'm just constantly working or it's constantly something because I also do have, like, you know, we meet up digitally for drinks and we meet up digitally for coffee and want to, yeah, support many of my founder friends. Of course, everybody's having a lot of questions. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So I feel like it's even more exchange in the community, which I love, but yeah, it's super busy.
I have to agree. I think even on social media, people have been communicating a lot more about how they feel and maybe reconnecting with others that they haven't seen in a long time.
Mhm.
So it's become our only gateway to socialize, you know, with people. And I think there's a lot of advances to that, but obviously some people, you need to take a step back as well, I think, to remain healthy during this time, like digitally detox yourself once in a while so it doesn't become the only channel.
Yeah, but and on the other hand, the thing is that, oops, sorry.
And that was
Um, um, I'm alone, so I do not live in a shared flat. I do not have roommates. I do not have kids. So whenever I'm completely off and there is no device on, I feel like the how do you say Einsamkeit?
loneliness.
Yeah, the loneliness is consuming me, and I'm really afraid of that. And that's why I just turn on everything again, and I'm so it is like a hard balance to get because on the one hand it's super exhausting, and on the other hand I'm really afraid of the loneliness
Yeah.
because I've been stuck in this apartment since 9 days now.
Wow. Well, I've been fortunate because I have my son, and I mentioned this in the last one, what we're actually doing with another family. And we've actually just kept it to one family and ourselves. So that is our social circle. We basically circulate the kids back and forth. So I can work, and then the other parent can work as well. But the sun's shining, so we've been outside, and that's been my only saving grace, to get like fresh air, to walk around with the kids. I mean, to be honest, my last week, was pretty exhausting. I think day 3 on Thursday was really tough for me. And today's Tuesday, and I accidentally told my coworker, well, it's only Monday. So my brain, I think because we don't have our routines, every day seems kind of the same. It's like this wishy-washy between your apartment and trying to go out, but you've been more indoor than anything. And so there are some structures that are definitely missing.
Yeah.
But I guess I feel like we always complain on a more higher note, like privileged note. So that's how I like to remind myself that we're very fortunate to be in this position. Okay, why don't you talk us through all the digital things that you got to join last week? And there was this really big thing that happened on the weekend that we can
Yes.
tell our international audience about.
So, I mean, we are super fortunate because digitalization is key. And as we can see now, many companies, but many people um, in their private environment are forced into digitalization. Um, and I just wanted to share some of the good news and of the good things that we've been seeing during the last weeks. I mentioned it before. I'm doing yoga every morning since my gym is closed and I do not take my bike to the office every morning. So we all have to keep our bodies in motion somehow. And for those of you who know the Urban Sports Club, it is an app that is in Germany, but also in other European countries. I know that they're in France and I think in Switzerland, maybe also in Austria. It is an app where you pay a monthly fee, and then you can go to different yoga studios, gyms, and all kind of yoga. Not yoga, like sports stuff. You can do a lot of sports stuff with them. And when the Corona thing started, they sent an email to all the members that you can pause your membership. It was just one click. It was super easy. And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? I mean, I cannot go to the gym anyway. I cannot go to the yoga studio anyway. Let's save some money on that. And a few days later, then they sent another email. Seems like they learned quick that, of course, all the yoga studios and all the gyms and all other sports trainers, just as the clubs and bars and restaurants are lacking a lot of revenue these days. So from one day to the other, they set up a completely online program. So you could get out of your pause, of your COVID pause again. And now you can use it, use all the online yoga classes, online sports classes, from your booty training to, I even saw that they are doing online burlesque dancing. I didn't try it yet, but maybe I can tell you next week about that. Yeah, but anyway, the good thing about this is that this morning I could take a yoga class from a yoga studio in Leipzig, which was super nice because I met new people online, and a new yoga teacher, and she was really amazing. I've seen some reviews of her before. And of course, I never do yoga in Leipzig, but now it is possible to take classes with her. So that's a really cool thing. Check out Urban Sports Club if you are up for some training and some movement in your living room, in your home office. I've also been talking in a podcast from St. Oberholz. As you can imagine, also the co-working spaces in the whole country and whole Germany are, hit hard by the crisis. So we talked a little bit about how we can transform communities on to this online space, and how good it really is that we are connected through services like Slack, but also on platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook. What we see in the whole startup scene is a huge wave of solidarity and knowledge sharing, and this feeling of, okay, this is like really serious, and we might not make it, but at least we try together. And whenever I learn something and I get an insight to something, I share it. So I'm on the phone constantly. I don't know how, I haven't been on the phone for years because I didn't like calling, but now I'm on the phone again a lot, talking to people about how their experience is with the Arbeitsagentur, and with all the 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 promises that were made by the government. And another thing that is maybe not one of the most positive things to share, but we also have to talk about that, is that everything that is promised is not operationalized yet. So there were a lot of promises about money for the German economy, but at the moment, nobody knows exactly how to get that money, when it will be paid out, by whom, to whom. One thing that was online quite quick is in Berlin at least, it is the Investitionsbank Berlin-Brandenburg, the IBB.
Yeah.
And they are, so for the state of Berlin, they are in charge of giving out the supports for the startups and for all companies in Berlin. Their website is down basically since Friday. So there's no chance that you can hand in your request for the support. The Arbeitsagentur that is in charge for the short-term loans, not short-term Kurzarbeitergeld. And what's that again?
Like short contract work, not short contract, short-term work. I don't know.
Short-term work. They received 800,000 requests last week. I had them on the phone yesterday. They said it might take a while until they get through all of them. So yeah, it is a lot of uncertainty, but on the other hand, a lot of good things happening as we see this huge wave of solidarity, and also a lot of things that are working really, really good. Another example is that we transformed all of our corporate activities to online formats. We're doing all of our workshops now in Zoom, and people were quite skeptic against it when we announced that we will try to do it online. And good for us. We get amazing feedback. Everybody is quite happy and surprised how easy it is to be part of a workshop when you are at home, taking care of your kids, having time for them, and seeing that everything can be done online, as long as you got internet. That's the one thing you have to make sure somehow, which is also what I'm kind of worried about at the moment, because my internet at home is really slow and I'm trying to get a better connection. And yeah, then of course the most amazing thing that happened this weekend in Germany, for those outside of Germany, you might not have heard it. Everybody else, I'm sure you have heard it. There was this huge hackathon, the world's biggest hackathon ever, where 42,000 people worked on solutions for the crisis, digital solutions mainly for the crisis. And yeah, I'm very excited because I'm one of the persons who will judge these ideas now, or the MVPs and the prototypes that have been built. That will start tonight, and I'm very excited to tell you next week then what 42,000 people brought on ideas and solutions, and how we will get out of this.
I actually have a few numbers in front of us. So it's called the VIA versus virus, so us against the virus. And I think they announced an opening. So it happened on the weekend, and they announced it a week before. Was it like 5 days before they actually announced it? Mm-hmm. And as Maria said, here it says they got 43,000 people together, 3,000 mentors, and you're one of them. Right? And in total, it's 1,500 teams. So how will they start? So do you know what the dates are in between? Like,
the dates for what?
Like they start today with ideating and creating MVPs within their team.
No. They started on Friday.
Oh, okay.
The whole weekend, and we will start judging them today.
Right.
So, and then it is like with every hackathon, now there's a jury who will decide, okay, which ideas are worth going on with, and then the government will decide if they put money in them or not, or if there are other companies or other donors or whatever. I mean, everything is happening so fast at the moment, nobody knows exactly what will happen next. But it's a good thing to see that things are happening so fast, and that it is possible to do that, and to mobilize so many people, so many ideas. It really gives, at least me, it gives a lot of hope that things are turning out for better, especially now that Germany has announced something like a lockdown. I mean, we are allowed to go outside of we are allowed to leave our apartments, but only alone. We are not allowed to gather in groups more than 2, which is another step to stop the virus from spreading. But now we also see that the damage that is done to the economy also needs some solutions. I mean, there are so many things happening in parallel. So much uncertainty. It is very important for me to see that there is also hope, and there is also actions taking place, and people changing something, people thinking about it, and not just stucking with this, oh my God, everything is so bad, we will all die scenario.
Well, it seems that there are a lot of opportunities that people see, and they could only discover those if they go through the process themselves and see now how much can be digitalized, which I think for the German bureaucracy, let's put it that way, like German bureaucracy, may it be the corporate or the government, I think that they start implementing more of these tools. because it, obviously it seems like this is like a testing period for them, even though it wasn't something that they planned with. It was a really fast change. And how do you mobilize? How do we use the internet and digitalize tools? And hopefully everyone's going to come out of it stronger and actually realize what processes they can take over. Speaking of processes and tools, we touched upon this last week for anyone that's interested in how we did our own setup as a team. Maybe Maria, you can tell everyone, how many are we in the team, and
Yeah.
we talk about our daily routine, like how we start in the mornings.
Yeah. So we are, it depends on if you account full-time equivalents. We are around 10 people. We use some of the tools that we already mentioned. Of course, we use Slack. And if I say, of course, if you never heard of Slack, just Google it. It is the communication platform that all the startups are using. If you are, if you are new to the digital world, reach out to us. We're happy to support. We're happy to do one-on-one calls to explain you how to set up Slack, how to use Slack. Also, like all these tools like Zoom. This is the tool that we're using right now, also for this webinar. It is used for most of the calls, workshops. I use it for my lectures at university now. So this is also something that we can support you with. Regarding the organization of our team, we stick to our daily routines. So we meet at 10. We meet digitally, of course, in a Google Hangout or in a Zoom call. So whatever you choose. We also change in between the tools. And we do a short round where everybody just gives a quick head up what he or she is working on that day, where he or she focuses on, so we know who is doing what and who might need support with something. And one thing that I keep spreading, and I will mention it again and again, is that we're having a virtual team office. So we let this Google Hangout call in the morning open in the background on all of our computers. We mute ourselves then, otherwise it would be too noisy. But you just have the feeling like if you're in the office. So there are people with you, there is somebody you can reach out to, and you can just unmute yourself and talk into the room, just as if you are talking to somebody across the desks, as if we are sitting in the same room, only that we're sitting in our living rooms on our couches or wherever. But we can still, be in constant contact and be in constant exchange. And I think it's very, very important. And I think it's going very well. At least me, it helps a lot to know that the team is there, that there are, people working on the same stuff that I do, and people are there to go into a sparring, to share some ideas, to share also some uncertainties, some doubts about things, when you are afraid of something, which is completely normal during these uncertain times. It is important to, I think it's super important to just share all of the feelings also, because so much is going on. And I would just go insane if I would not talk about it.
Well, what I enjoyed is if you just throw a joke in there once in a while. So if you're working, then suddenly you just hear this voice that comes from your laptop, and then you find yourself in the virtual room again, and then everyone's having small talk with each other. Because I think a big question is always like, how do you keep your team motivated so you don't feel lonely? But the virtual room has helped to keep us connected, and then you can have this like short small talk. And then that's very entertaining. So I agree. What about the project management in terms of, maybe for some it's interesting to be able to see how we
so we use Todoist, which is connected to we're all in the Google world. I mentioned that before. So we are lovers of G Suite. We are completely in the cloud with everything, and our project management tool where we put all our tasks in, also tasks that you can then delegate and delay and comment on is Todoist. There are tons of project management tools that you could use out there. We just choose Todoist because it has a good connection to the rest of the Google products. Works very well. Also connected to Slack, so everything is then interconnecting and talking to each other, so you don't miss out anything. Yeah, what else? We have a Kanban board that is also connected to Todoist, so we keep track of what are we focusing on today, what are the focuses for this week, what do we want to achieve this week. Of course, during times like these, and I'm saying that as if I've ever been in times like these. I haven't, but it just, yeah, it helps to keep a focus on okay, so what are we here for? What are we doing? To not get lost in all the bad news and the increasing numbers and all the bad things that are happening around us, but keep the focus on, okay, what is it really that we can influence? And that's really something that is helping me these days, that I ask myself, okay, is this something that I can influence? Is this something that I have an impact on? If not, then I just try to accept it and concentrate on the things that I can have an impact on. And that is support people, share our knowledge, support other companies when they are struggling with organizing themselves in a remote team, because we have the great luck that we have experience with that, because we've done it before. It feels kind of natural to us. If it doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel natural to many other companies. So we're here to share our knowledge, and we're also here. We keep on doing our podcasts with people that have great solutions, startups, tech solutions, that have great solutions that will also help us through this Corona time. And yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Anna, because we had a talk last week about something like that, right?
Yeah. So we talked to Hannes Klippa from Hello Better, which has an app where they actually help people that have, I don't know if you call it, it's a mental health issues, or support people that might be going through addiction or anxiety. It offers tools for you to basically figure out how you can educate yourself and support yourself. And when I was talking to Hannes about it, one of the interesting things I learned is, when it comes to terminology as well, maybe we shouldn't have called it social distancing and rather call it physical distancing, because people tend to really focus too much on this idea of like what social distancing, the terminology already makes you feel like you're going to go insane because you're going to be lonely, and inevitably it means that your whole daily routine is off, especially for people that deal with certain mental health issues or addictions. They're usually told to meet in groups so they can find a support system, that they can find a community. And so just that terminology and that word already gives people a lot of anxiety. So I think, a lot of people maybe are learning more about the way we view the world and themselves and how we should term things. And maybe, as you said, don't focus too much on the bad, but just focus on the positive things that you can have an impact on. And I think Hannes, the webinar is also online if you guys want to tune in. He had a lot of great tips of things that you can do. Like, one is obviously try to stay physical in times of where we have to be dormant. So whether that is like doing push-ups and for him, he had like a pull-up bar and a list. And every time he goes by that list, he does his pull-ups, and he can add like, his little numbers to it, which I thought was interesting, because he said, just by having that, you feel like you did something. And especially now, it's very important to stay physically fit, because we're all kind of resting in front of our laptops. And I think, as you said, get as much news as you need. One friend in Canada, she told me a lot of people are doing community healing. I like that word, community healing. So it's bringing a lot of people to think about, themselves in a community. Like, who are they? What's your culture like? What has to change in your culture? Do things need to decelerate? how do I prioritize my life? Like what really matters to me now that this has happened. And for me, it's really simple, but I realize making a big meal ahead of time and then putting some in the freezer and putting some in the refrigerator just to warm it up, because everything's very chaotic when you're balancing taking care of like kids for 5 hours, then running into work for 5 hours and having to clean and cook. Like that's something that's, I feel like has helped me, because I'm literally in front of the microwave warming up the meals for the kids and going like, okay. So easier. So I think at this point, Maria, unless you have anything to add for our participants and attendees, if you have a question you want to specifically ask us, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you want to ask us anything, we'll be happy to share, divulge, answer.
And while we wait for your questions, maybe one more thing to add to the positive things that are happening. What we can also see is that there are tons of solutions, platforms popping up. People keep coding websites overnight, which I love. Just support each other. I think we talked about the United We Stream website that all the Berlin clubs get together where they stream their nightclubs, nightlife to our home offices or living rooms, or whatever it is at night. And there are also some restaurants that are still open. So I do not cook so much, but I use my, I use the delivery services a lot, which I normally don't do because I always wanted to avoid the waste. But now I do it because they need our support, the restaurants and cafes and, all the cultural institutions around us. They're really, really suffering very, very hard. So I try to consume as much as I can from out of my couch.
Yeah, we have a very interesting question from Martin. He says, some people, even digital ones, don't have internet where they are to detox or whatever, and are now asked to do home office. Do you have an idea how to do home office without internet? And I think one part of the answer would be, well, I guess it also depends on who you're working for or what kind of, solutions or products is your company working for. Because surely if it's not dependent on internet, you can also use, your cell phone and your phone and communicate to people and figure out, what you have to do for that day. Are you familiar with any scenarios like that, Maria?
No, and actually I'm super afraid that will happen. Because I think there are three things. As long as I got them, I'm fine, which is water, electricity, and the internet. I had a chat with a friend of mine. He lives in Lichtenberg, which is in East Berlin, and they had a blackout last week for 3 hours. And he said that he was sitting at home, and I can imagine that, because it would be hell for me not to be able to communicate anymore. So I hope that everybody who lives in an area where they do not have internet, that they find solutions to do it somehow over their cell phones, or move to, I don't know where they get access, because I think in times of physical distancing, it is so important that we stay in touch. Of course we can call, but like doing the work, I don't see any solutions for that at the moment.
No. Thinking about that scenario,
Martin, if you have some ideas, Martin, we'd be happy to hear about them and to build something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and for that scenario, make sure you always have candles, a solar charger, and some good books.
Yeah, and Martin is adding no blackout. He was thinking about home office in Brandenburg. Yeah, kind of internet, but edge. So just discipline and checking in for daily stand-ups by phone. I mean, yes, of course, you can stay in touch with the team, but for us, it is also important to be connected to the internet, as everything that we're doing is in the cloud. All of our documents, all of our presentations, all of our emails, everything. If we did not have internet, that would be severe.
Yeah, so we would be endangered by this for sure. You know, if that were to happen, then, you know, I think that's what I would do. I would just probably start drawing with my kid and read some books, and, you know, then I'll say I'll just wait for the internet to come back on, and then we'll see what everyone did. I mean,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, and it is something that might be interesting for the hackathon. I will take the question with me. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do we have any other takers that want to send us a question?
Here's another comment from Dale. He said, telephone landlines are still there. Cell phones do not use landlines. That is true, but most of the people in Berlin, for example, do not have landlines anymore. Right?
True. Is that completely true? I have a landline for our internet. I just don't use it.
Yeah, but you don't have like a fixed line phone, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
Maybe I'm just one of the, I have an actual phone. It sounds weird to say that. I actually have a phone with the 030 number.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're safe.
So if anyone else wants it, if anyone else, so I can keep working with the internet. So if I can also announce some of the interesting things we have going on. Tomorrow we have a digital exchange breakfast for female entrepreneurs and investors. Next week when Maria and I do the talk show again, we can tell you guys how that went. It's going to be 5 of us as a panel, virtual panel, talking about, you know, what life is like, or what's it like to be an entrepreneur, what is it like to be a female entrepreneur or an investor in the space. And we can tell you guys how that was from our experience. Did that work well? What could we done better? Were people able to network with each other afterwards? Because the event itself was supposed to, you know, create value via an intimate gathering, about 20-30 people, being able to exchange their ideas with each other and talk to each other physically, which is so much easier. And so tomorrow we're going to experiment and see whether or not we can get people to network with each other and get to know each other and have some valuable one-to-one conversations. So we'll see how that goes. And on Friday, we have a very interesting guest. We have Julia with us from Coolers, and she's the CEO of Coolers, and they basically have a independent solar electrified refrigerator that mostly in Africa, they're going to help the supply chain so they can cool vaccines and medicines. And so it's about the global immunization effort. We're going to talk about that on Friday. So feel free to stop by our webpage. Yes, we can send links for that events. You can also go to german.tech, our webpage, where all our events are on our calendar. I'll be happy to type that in the chat for you guys. So that's our webpage, yeah, right there.
You'll find everything top right at the events button. Yeah, and we will do more events. So we are constantly watching what's happening and who has something that is worth being shared. So watch out. We will add more events and blog articles and content.
Yeah, and if there's anything you guys feel that would be of interest to you that you would want to have covered, feel free to write us or write me at anna@german.tech, because obviously we want to bring you guys value and content that is interesting for you. So we always like to hear from our community. So feel free to reach out to us and we could do that. Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. Then I'll say danke, Maria. We have another exciting week ahead of us. And we will talk again very soon, but then again next week.
Yeah. Stay home, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay sane. Bye.
Yes.